Imagine waking up one morning to find yourself in a world without electricity. No lights, no internet, no smartphones. Imagine no cars, no airplanes, no way to call someone instantly on the other side of the planet. Sounds impossible, right? Yet, for most of human history, this was life. In this video, we'll count down the top 10 inventions that changed the world, and trust me, some of them will surprise you. Everything we take for granted today, every convenience, every comfort, every breakthrough exists because someone, somewhere, dared to imagine something better. They invented. Human civilization has been shaped by a handful of extraordinary inventions. That didn't just improve daily life, they completely transformed the way we live, think, and connect. From tools that sparked the dawn of mankind to the technologies that define the modern era. These inventions changed the course of history forever. But which ones had the biggest impact? Which creations rewrote the rules of the world? Let's begin. #10. The printing press. You wouldn't be watching this video. In fact, the entire concept of the information age, the one we live in today, traces its roots back to this single invention. Before the invention of the printing press, knowledge moved at a snail's pace. Books were rare, handwritten treasures accessible only to the elite, kings, priests, and scholars. But the true value of the printing press wasn't just in producing books. It was in spreading ideas. It could take days, weeks, or even months to send a message across the ocean. The world was vast, and no matter how fast technology was moving, distance still created barriers. The world was already buzzing with activity thanks to the Industrial Revolution. On March 10th, 1876, Bell made the world's first telephone call. His words: steam engines powered trains, factories churned out goods, and cities grew larger than ever. But there was still one thing missing: instant communication. For the average person, learning to read and write was nearly impossible because there were no books to read, and only worked over short distances. But like all great inventions, the telephone evolved. Then, in the mid-15th century, a German goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg changed the world forever with the invention of the movable type printing press. The telephone didn't just change how we communicate, it changed how we live, work, and relate to each other. In moments of joy, they've connected loved ones across oceans. And in the realm of business, they've built empires and toppled markets. For the first time in human history, information could be mass-produced, copied quickly, and spread far and wide. Business could be conducted across cities. Families separated by thousands of miles could speak to each other as if they were in the same room. By the 21st century, the technology morphed into mobile phones. Then, into smartphones, which today combine the power of voice communication with computing. It's the internet and the printing press's legacy. Information at your fingertips. Some are ancient, some are surprisingly recent, but all of them shaped the destiny of our species. It laid the groundwork for global trade, diplomacy, journalism, and the spread of culture. The first major book printed, the Gutenberg Bible, a work that today is one of the most valuable books on earth. It enabled ordinary people to access information that had been hidden from them for centuries. It allowed new ideas to flourish, governments to be challenged, and religions to be questioned. The printing press sparked the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution. In short, it democratized knowledge. Without the printing press, there would be no newspapers, no novels, no schools as we know them. Imagine a world where only a few have knowledge, while billions remain in the dark. That was our reality until Gutenberg lit the spark. #9. The telephone. Now fast forward to the 19th century. Messages traveled by foot, by horse, by ship, or if you were lucky, by telegraph. Then came Alexander Graham Bell, a Scottish-born inventor living in America. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." They sound simple, even trivial, but those words rewrote the human story. For the first time in history, human voices could travel across wires, across distances, in real time. The telephone was more than just a convenience. It was a revolution. It shrank the world. Of course, the first telephones were clumsy. They used hand-cranked devices, required manual switchboards. By the early 20th century, telephone lines spanned continents. Think about it. The device you're using to watch this video is a direct descendant of Bell's invention. During times of crisis, phones have saved millions of lives. Without the telephone, modern life as we know it simply wouldn't exist. And that's just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface with number 10, the printing press, and number 9, the telephone, but trust me, the inventions to come will blow your mind even more. Stay with us as we continue the countdown. Number 8. The light bulb. Imagine living in a world where darkness ruled half of every day. Before artificial lighting, when the sun dipped below the horizon, most human activity came to a standstill. The world was plunged into blackness, lit only by the dim glow of candles, oil lamps, or open fires. Productivity ended. Travel became dangerous. Cities fell silent. Darkness wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a barrier to human progress. Edison's genius lay in creating a bulb that was practical, affordable, and durable. It could burn for hundreds of hours without burning out. That all changed thanks to one man, Thomas Edison. Though he wasn't the first to experiment with electric light, it was Edison who in 1879 perfected the long-lasting incandescent light bulb, an invention that would ignite the modern world in more ways than one. Before Edison, earlier attempts at electric lighting failed because they were either too dim, too expensive, or too short-lived. None of this would be possible without that small glowing filament inside a fragile glass bulb. Over the years, we've moved from incandescent bulbs to fluorescents, then to LEDs and smart lighting. But at its core, the story of electric light is the story of human determination to reshape the world for the better. And just like that, darkness lost its power. The light bulb didn't merely illuminate homes, it transformed factories, allowing production to continue long after sunset, giving rise to the 24-hour economy. Ancient myths like Icarus and Daedalus, medieval sketches by Leonardo da Vinci, centuries of inventors all shared one burning question. Could humans soar like birds? It made streets safer, reducing crime in once shadowy alleys. It revolutionized education, enabling children and adults alike to study into the night. The flight itself lasted just 12 seconds and covered only 120 feet of distance, shorter than the wingspan of a modern jumbo jet. But in that brief moment, the world changed forever. Within decades, airplanes became central to global transportation, trade, tourism, and even warfare. The world became smaller, and distances that once took weeks by ship could now be crossed in hours. Economies became interconnected, cultures blended. Globalization accelerated. They weren't formally trained engineers. They didn't have government funding. Thousands of planes crisscrossed the globe every hour, carrying millions of people to their destinations. Airplanes deliver food, medicine, aid, and opportunity. They connect families separated by oceans and allow for cultural exchange on a scale never before imagined. They remind us that the human spirit, when fueled by imagination and persistence, can achieve the impossible. What they had was curiosity, determination, and a willingness to fail repeatedly until they got it right. Their success is a testament to the idea that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Think about how much of our daily life is tied to artificial light offices, hospitals, entertainment venues, even the device you're using to watch this video. The light bulb also became a symbol. Even today, when someone has an idea, we say the light bulb went off. It represents inspiration, ingenuity, and human creativity. It reminds us that sometimes the simplest ideas, making darkness optional, can have the most profound impact. Of course, technology didn't stop there. For the first time, we weren't confined to the ground. We could rise above it. We could see the world from the sky. That simple idea, taking flight, set humanity on a path that would eventually lead to space exploration and dreams of interplanetary travel. Imagine if the world had stayed in darkness, how much progress would have been delayed, how many opportunities lost. Thanks to Edison, the night no longer rules us. Number 7. The airplane. Since the dawn of time, humanity has looked to the sky and dreamed of flying. For millennia, the answer was no until two self-taught mechanics from Dayton, Ohio, Warville and Wilbur, Wright, changed the course of history. In 1903, on the windy dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Wright brothers achieved the impossible. The first powered, controlled, heavier-than-air flight. The impact of the airplane was still as nothing short of revolutionary. At first, few could have imagined the scale of transformation this fragile wooden machine would bring. But beyond the practical, The airplane touched something deeper. It redefined human potential. The Wright brothers' invention also demonstrated the power of perseverance. Today, air travel is so common, we rarely stop to think about it. And yet, it all began with one rickety machine, one gust of wind, and two dreamers who refused to accept the limits of their time. Next time you board a plane, remember, you are living the legacy of the Wright brothers, a legacy that took us from the sand dunes of Kitty Hawk to the farthest reaches of space. From Edison's glowing bulb that banished darkness to the Wright brothers' flying machine that conquered the skies. These inventions didn't just change how we live, they changed what we believe is possible, and we're only getting started. Number 6. The internet. Imagine a world without the internet. No social media, no streaming movies, no online shopping, no instant messaging. Its goal, to allow computers to communicate with each other across long distances. What began as a military tool soon evolved into an academic and research network, connecting universities and government agencies. Hard to picture, right? Yet this digital reality we live in today didn't exist just a few decades ago. In fact, the internet is one of the most recent inventions on this list. But its impact has been arguably the most transformative in the shortest amount of time. Today, anyone with a smartphone can share ideas, create content, and build an audience of millions. It has given rise to social movements, global collaboration, and yes, even brand new ways to make money. The roots of the internet go back to the 1960s with the development of ARPANET, an experimental military network created by the U.S. Department of Defense. It changed education, putting knowledge from every corner of the globe at our fingertips. It appended entertainment. YouTube, Netflix, TikTok, and countless other platforms became cultural cornerstones. No highways, no road trips, no Uber, no grocery runs in minutes. It was a three-wheeled motor carriage, noisy, awkward, and far from the sleek machines we know today, but it marked the birth of a new era. For thousands of years, human transportation depended on the power of animals, horses, oxen, and camels. The speed of life was the speed of walking or riding. In the United States, for example, the development of the interstate highway system in the 1950s revolutionized not just transport, but the very layout of the nation. But the true revolution began in the 1990s. When the World Wide Web was introduced to the public by Tim Berners-Lee, suddenly, anyone with a computer and a phone line could connect to a vast digital universe of information, communication, and opportunity. Our economies, our communities, our lifestyles are all built on the backbone of the automobile. But these challenges have sparked innovation to electric vehicles. Self-driving technology and smarter city planning are all part of the ongoing evolution. It's a double-edged sword, capable of both tremendous good and serious harm. Goods could be transported quickly, creating complex supply chains and new economic opportunities. Roads, highways, and entire industries, auto manufacturing, oil, insurance, tourism, were born. The result? Total transformation of how we live, work, and think. The internet revolutionized communication. Emails replaced letters, video calls replaced long-distance travel. It reshaped commerce. Online shopping giants like Amazon and eBay were born. And perhaps most profoundly, the internet democratized voice and influence. But with great power comes great responsibility. The internet has also introduced challenges: misinformation, cybercrime, privacy concerns, and digital addiction. Still, there is no denying that the internet has rewired the world in ways no one could have imagined just half a century ago. Just think, you're watching this video right now because of the internet. Number 5. The automobile now. Imagine daily life without cars. That all changed in 1886 when Carl Benz, a German engineer, built the world's first practical automobile powered by an internal combustion engine. The invention of the automobile transformed not only transportation but every aspect of modern society. With cars came freedom of movement. People could live farther from where they worked, giving rise to suburbs. The car became a symbol of independence. It shaped culture, from the rise of road trip movies to the design of entire cities built around automobiles. And like many transformative inventions, the automobile has also brought challenges: pollution, traffic congestion, and accidents. Think about it. Without the car, modern life as we know it would collapse. From Benz's first sputtering engine to today's electric supercars, The journey of the car is the story of human ambition on wheels. From the internet that connects billions of minds to the automobile that carries billions of people, these inventions redefined what it means to live in the modern world. And the countdown continues, because the most life-changing inventions are yet to come. Number 4. Vaccination throughout history. Infectious diseases have been one of humanity's deadliest enemies. Plagues, smallpox, cholera, and countless other illnesses killed millions and reshaped civilizations. For centuries, sickness was seen as an inevitable part of life until one invention changed everything: vaccination. Acting on this idea, he performed the world's first vaccination by deliberately infecting a young boy with cowpox, then exposing him to smallpox. The boy did not fall ill. The concept of vaccination was born. The story begins in 1796 with an English physician named Edward Jenner. At the time, smallpox was one of the most terrifying diseases on the planet, with a fatality rate of around 30%. Those who survived were often left disfigured for life. Jenner made a revolutionary observation. Milkmaids who had contracted cowpox, a far milder disease, seemed immune to smallpox. Over the next 2 centuries, vaccines would save hundreds of millions of lives by eradicating or controlling deadly illnesses such as polio, no digital cameras, gaming, social media, or even GPS. Early mechanical computing devices date back to the 19th century. But it was during the 1930s and 1940s that the first programmable electronic computers were built. In short, the digital world we know simply wouldn't exist. Measles, tetanus, diphtheria, and of course smallpox, which became the first human disease ever eradicated from the planet in 1980. The implications were world-changing. The computers of that era were enormous, taking up entire rooms, yet far less powerful than even the cheapest smartphone today. Fast forward to today, and computers are embedded in almost every aspect of life: phones, cars, appliances, even watches. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world once again turned to vaccines, showcasing how this centuries-old invention remains one of the most powerful tools in modern science. Vaccination gave humanity, for the first time, a weapon to fight back against diseases that had ravaged societies for millennia. It's a testament to the idea that science can serve not only progress, but compassion. The impact of vaccines extends far beyond health. Vaccination has allowed economies to thrive, populations to grow, and global travel to flourish without fear of devastating outbreaks. And unlike many technological breakthroughs, vaccination is deeply human. It's about protecting not just oneself, but entire communities through shared immunity. It is hard to imagine any future innovation that won't in some way be built on the computational power first dreamed of by a handful of visionaries. And these inventions stand as towering achievements of the human spirit. They remind us that when science, curiosity, and compassion come together, we can change the world sometimes in ways we never imagined. Today, vaccination remains one of the most cost-effective and life-saving medical interventions in history. A simple invention that has saved more lives than almost any other. With access to a computer and the internet, anyone anywhere can learn, create, communicate, and innovate. Boundaries of geography, class, and privilege are being redrawn because of this technology. Number 3. The computer imagined life without computers. No smartphones, no laptops, and the computer as we know it didn't appear overnight. It was the result of decades of work by visionary minds. Names like Alan Turing, Konrad Zuse, and later John von Neumann laid the theoretical and practical foundations. The real transformation came in the 1970s and 1980s, when personal computers like the Apple II, Commodore 64, and IBM PC brought computing into homes and businesses. Computers have revolutionized science, enabling complex simulations, space exploration, and genetic research. Business, automating industries, managing global finance, creating entirely new markets like e-commerce and cryptocurrencies. Entertainment, video games, streaming, digital art, and social networks. Communication, from emails to instant messaging to video conferencing. The computer also paved the way for artificial intelligence, an emerging frontier that promises to be as transformative in the 21st century as the invention of the wheel or the light bulb in centuries past. But perhaps most importantly, computers have leveled the playing field. Think about it. The very act of watching this video, learning this information, and sharing it with others is only possible because of computers. In a little over half a century, the computer has gone from an obscure experiment to the central nervous system of modern life. From vaccination, which saved millions of lives, to the computer, which reshaped how we think, work, and we're getting closer to the top of the list. Number 2. The steam engine, long before smartphones, airplanes, or even electricity. There was one invention that lit the spark of the Industrial Revolution and propelled humanity into the modern era: the steam engine. The earliest versions of steam power date back to the early 18th century. But it was the work of James Watt in the 1760s and 1770s that transformed the steam engine from a crude, mechanical curiosity into a practical and efficient powerhouse. Factories could operate massive machines, transportation through railways and steamships became faster, cheaper, and more reliable. Urbanization accelerated as people flocked to cities for jobs, and entire economies shifted from agriculture to industry. Watt's innovations allowed steam engines to power machinery, factories, ships, and eventually trains, changing not just how goods were made, but how people lived. The steam engine marked the birth of mechanized production, which meant that, for the first time in history, human muscle and animal power were no longer the primary drivers of work. The effects were monumental. It shrank the world, built empires, and forever altered the rhythm of daily life. Even today, the legacy of steam power can be felt in every engine, every factory, every high-speed train, every modern industrial process. Global trade exploded. New classes of wealth and social mobility emerged. Science and technology accelerated, laying the groundwork for countless future innovations. The steam engine is, in many ways, the grandfather of the modern machine age. It enabled trade routes, agriculture, and urban development. It allowed societies to expand, economies to flourish, and cultures to blend. Without the steam engine, there would have been no industrialization, and without industrialization, most of the inventions on this list might never have seen the light of day. And the basic principle of circular motion and rotational force underpins everything from the simplest, most overlooked, yet arguably the most revolutionary invention in human history: the wheel. Number 1. The wheel. Early wheels were part of pottery making. But soon the idea of attaching wheels to carts revolutionized how people moved goods, armies, and themselves across land. And finally, we arrive at the invention that started it all. Invented around 3500 BC in ancient Mesopotamia, the wheel didn't begin as a tool for transport. Without it, modern civilization would grind to a halt, both literally and figuratively. The wheel changed everything. It was the first step on the long road of innovation that led to every other breakthrough on this list. With the wheel came mobility, the ability to travel longer distances, carry heavier loads, and connect isolated communities. But the true genius of the wheel lies in its endless adaptability. Each breakthrough didn't just solve a problem, it reshaped what it means to be human. Transportation, cars, bikes, planes, engineering, gears, turbines, engines, timekeeping, the gearworks of clocks, industry, conveyor belts, pulleys, and machinery. Even in today's high-tech world, the humble wheel remains indispensable. The wheel represents not just an invention, the moment when humans first learned to harness nature's forces to amplify their own power. Kenti Luan, the power of human ingenuity. They remind us that no challenge is too great, no dream too distant, when human curiosity and creativity are unleashed. From the ancient wheel to the rise of artificial intelligence, human history is the story of invention. These 10 inventions, the wheel, the steam engine, the computer, let us know in the comments. Which invention do you think will change the world next? Vaccination, the automobile, the internet, the airplane, the light bulb, the telephone, the printing press, each played a role in lifting humanity to new heights. And who knows? The next world-changing invention might come from someone watching this video right now. If you enjoyed this journey through history's greatest inventions, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Together, let's keep the spark of innovation alive.